The sterile white walls of the Galactic Medical Frigate's intensive care unit hummed with alien technology far beyond Earth's comprehension. Melanie Chen lay motionless on the biobed, her small frame barely making an impression under the translucent healing sheets. Monitors beeped in rhythms unknown to human medicine, tracking vitals that the ship's AI struggled to interpret. Humans were still a mystery to the galaxy, fragile, emotional, and utterly unpredictable. Xavier stood outside the observation window, his fists clenched so tightly that his knuckles had turned white. The explosion on mining station Kepler 442 had torn through their research team like a supernova through paper. Melanie had pushed him clear of the collapsing corridor, taking the full force of the decompression blast herself. Now she fought for her life, while alien doctors debated whether human physiology could even survive their treatment protocols. "The prognosis is poor," chirped Dr. Vex, a mantis-like Xerelian, whose compound eyes reflected Xavier's anguish in 1,000 facets. "Her species lacks the cellular regeneration factors common to most spacefaring races. We've done what we can, but nothing," Xavier interrupted, his voice raw. "You keep her alive, whatever it takes." What neither the doctors nor Xavier noticed were the 3 small figures that had slipped into the ICU's ventilation system. They moved with predatory grace, their scales shimmering in colors that bent light itself. They were Dravokian cubs barely 6 months old by their species' reckoning, yet each already the size of a large Earth dog. The Dravokian were the galaxy's apex predators. Their homeworld had no concept of mercy, only strength and the brutal hierarchy of survival. Adult Dravokian were banned from most civilized space stations, their presence alone enough to trigger panic protocols. They were living weapons, engineered by evolution into perfect killing machines. Their cubs were considered only marginally less dangerous, like giving a toddler a plasma cannon. The 3 cubs, Scratch, Fang, and Little Ember, had escaped their containment hold to decks below. They should have been terrifying the crew, hunting for food, establishing dominance. Instead, they were drawn by something else entirely, a scent that spoke to the most ancient part of their predatory brains, the scent of a dying protector. Scratch, the largest of the 3, squeezed through the air vent first. His nostrils flared as he took in the strange chemicals, the beeping machines, and the small figure on the bed. His siblings emerged behind him, their razor-sharp talons making no sound on the polished floor. Melanie's unconscious form registered in their developing minds not as prey, but as something their species recognized on an instinctual level. 2 weeks ago, when the cubs had first escaped on the station, it was Melanie who had found them cornered by station security. While others had raised weapons, she had stepped forward with nothing but calm words and an offered hand. She had fed them, protected them from the paranoid station commander who wanted them jettisoned into space. She had sung to them strange, wordless melodies that somehow soothed their aggressive natures. She had become their pack. Now their pack member was dying, and the Dravokian cubs understood death intimately. It was the only thing their species truly feared, not for themselves, but for those they bonded with. Ember, the smallest, released a low, mournful trill that made the medical equipment flicker. Fang circled the biobed, his scales shifting to match the white walls, becoming nearly invisible. Scratch approached directly, his massive head lowering until his snout nearly touched Melanie's pale face. The door hissed open. Xavier burst in, having heard the security alerts. He froze at the sight before him 3 of the most dangerous juvenile predators in known space, surrounding Melanie like a living fortress. "Don't move," hissed Dr. Vexith from the doorway, mandibles clicking in terror. Dravokian cubs in protective mode. Up, they'll kill anything they perceive as a threat. But Xavier wasn't looking at the cubs as threats. He was looking at their behavior, the way Scratch's breathing had synchronized with Melanie's labored breaths, the way Ember had curled against her side, radiating warmth, the way Fang positioned himself between her and the door. They were guarding her. "The thermal regulation," Xavier whispered, sudden understanding flooding through him. "Her body temperature has been dropping. The doctors couldn't stabilize it." Ember's scales glowed with gentle heat, warming Melanie's cooling body. Scratch's rhythmic breathing seemed to guide her own lungs, as if his presence alone commanded her to keep fighting. Fang's positioning blocked the harsh medical lights that had been irritating her. Closed eyes. Dr. Vexith's translator crackled. "This is ... unprecedented. Dravokian bonding usually takes years. They've adopted her into their pack structure. Over the next 72 hours, the cubs refused to leave. Station security tried once to remove them and nearly lost 3 personnel before Xavier intervened. The cubs would tolerate only him, near Melanie, recognizing perhaps that he too was part of her pack. On the 4th day, Melanie's eyes fluttered open. The first thing she saw was Scratch's massive face, inches from her own. His eyes black as deep space, watching her with an intensity that would have terrified anyone else. She smiled weakly. "Hey, you crazy lizards. Found me again, huh?" Scratch released a sound half purr, half growl that translated roughly to triumph in the Dravakine language. Ember chirped excitedly, while Fang's scales rippled through a rainbow of relieved colors. Xavier was at her side instantly. "They wouldn't leave you. The doctors wanted to remove them. But they're my boys," Melanie finished, reaching out a trembling hand to scratch under Scratch's jaw, where she knew he liked it. "Aren't you?" Dr. Vexith would later file a report that would revolutionize the galaxy's understanding of both humans and Dravokine. Humans, it seemed, possessed an almost supernatural ability to forge bonds across species barriers, to find common ground even with the most savage predators. And the Dravokine, for all their fearsome reputation, were capable of loyalty that transcended their violent nature. As Melanie recovered, the cubs remained her constant shadows. When she was finally discharged, the Dravokine matriarchy, an unprecedented move, formally granted her guardianship of the 3 cubs. It was the first time in recorded history that a non-Dravokine had been given such an honor. Xavier watched his friend walk down the station corridor, 3 deadly predators flanking her like honor guards, and couldn't help but laugh. "Only a human," he muttered, shaking his head. "Only a human could turn the galaxy's most dangerous cubs into overgrown guard dogs." Melanie glanced back, grinning. "They're not guard dogs, Xavier. They're family." And in that moment, the galaxy learned what humanity had always known, that love and loyalty weren't bound by species, biology, or the cold logic of survival. Sometimes, the strongest bonds were forged in the most impossible circumstances, between a human girl and 3 alien cubs who refused to let her die alone.